ready?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm ready now.
When I was 4 years old, my daddy, who was a Baptist preacher, used to take me and my brother to a place called Anguilla Chain Gang. The chain gang sprang up as a method to meet the condition of the 13th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. Because during slavery, there was no need to have jails or prisons, because all you did was work the slaves from kin to Kate, and those that ran away, you just ran them down and brought them back if you could. But when the Civil War ended, the 13th Amendment came out. The 13th Amendment read, slavery and involuntary servitude was prohibited in the United States and its possessions, except as a punishment for a crime in a court of law. To meet that court of law and that punishment crime exception in the 13th Amendment of the Constitution, chain gangs came up as a result of people taking black men in particular and stopping them wherever they were and asked them two questions. Do you have any money? Coming out of slavery, the answer would automatically be no. Do you have a job? No, it would not be. They would not have jobs because they were slaves, and did nobody want to pay these darkies or these so-called freed involuntary servants. So these chain gangs sprang up. This particular chain gang, Anguilla, sprang up in the Anguilla Plantation, northwest of Glenn County near Thalman. My daddy used to go there. We would pray, stand in the yard. The window, which was a wooden window, would open up to our left, to the prisoners' right. The prisoners would come to the bars. My daddy would pray. We would leave and go to church. From that experience, I had an operation called Save the People, and I had a young man in it by the name of James Brooks, and he heard me tell this story, and so James decided that what he was going to do is start an organization called the Anguilla Freedom Project. And the Anguilla Freedom Project sounded good, but you cannot maximize energy or effort on somebody else's idea unless you have that inner spiritual connection with what that particular story is all about. So my suggestion to us is that what we do is use the idea of organizing around that which is truthful, heartfelt, dedication comes to all people who have made a decision to sacrifice their lives to organize on for the benefit of the poor and the oppressed. The Anguilla Freedom Project, as far as I know, still goes on, but what it has accomplished is very little.
And what was your father's name?
Reverend Nelson Lucius Lyde, N.L. Lyde.
And what was the significance of him bringing you to this place before church?
The significance was that first, all black youth, like they are now, was in peril. In peril because the idea of enslaving black male youth is extremely important to this country. There was an article that came out in the New York Times about 2 months ago that talked about the notion of black males between the ages of 25 and 50 being missing out of the daily lives of black people because of two things. One, homicides, and two, imprisonment. chain gangs was the beginning of making sure that that exception in the 13th Amendment of the Constitution was always carried out, that slavery would always be a point of contact, be a important institution in this capitalist society. My father's real reasoning was to demonstrate to us at an early age what it meant to avoid being imprisoned in one of those chain gangs. For he had an older son who had run away from home when he was 14, and when he ran away from home, he had ended up in one of these chain gangs, imprisoned because he was making an effort to try to work his way to be a real free man in this society. And he was tricked and therefore fined, couldn't pay it, ended up in a chain gang, on the P.J. Jenkins chain gang, and worked on a road called the Wiregrass Trail, Highway 57.
And where was the Anguilla?
The Anguilla Freedom, the Anguilla chain gang was on the old Anguilla Plantation, south of Thurman, but headed north west in Glenn County, off of Highway 32.